And welcome back. It's Jason Walty here. Thank you so much for joining me in today's video for the latest housing market trends in the US. I want to talk about some early indications of home buying demand to start the video. Then I'm going to give you guys an update regarding home prices, housing inventory, pending home sales, and of course, much more. The first report I want to briefly touch on today is from the Mortgage Bankers Association, or the MBA. They posted this on the 8th of February, which was last Wednesday, last week. And this covers the week ended February 3rd. So the number of people submitting applications for home loans in order to buy houses increased 3% from 1 week ago based on the MBA's seasonally adjusted purchase index. So the index actually increased by 3% compared to the previous week, but was still down 37% compared to the same week 1 year ago. And it says here both purchase and refi applications increased last week and have shown gains in 3 out of the past 4 weeks because of lower rates. So speaking of mortgage rates, have a look at this. This is according to the Mortgage News Daily as of today, which is the 13th of February here. So for a 30-year fix, the average nationwide for people with exceptional credit, of course, is 6.54%. And for FHA and VA loans is just under 6% right now. So here are rates for a 30-year fix so far, or going back to December 30th last year. As you can see, rates more or less decrease from January 1st all the way until they hit February 2nd. They went from about 6.54% down to about 5.99% on the 2nd of February. Ever since then, though, rates have been increasing. Now rates are at 6.54%, which is more or less a 50 basis point increase over the past 2 weeks. Additionally, average rates at 6.54% right now are the highest rates we've seen since December 30th last year. In other words, rates have been very volatile over the past couple of months, so it's going to be very interesting to see how that's going to be impacting home buying demand in the weeks and months ahead. So speaking of home buying demand, Redfin's Homebuyer Demand Index, which of course is a measure of requests for home tours and other home buying services, hit its highest level since September last year for the week ended February 5th this year. This is up 21% from October's trough, but down 25% from 1 year ago. So even though we're starting to see an increase in demand from home buyers right now, it's not nearly as high as we saw 1 year ago. Okay, let's talk about some key housing market takeaways for the 4 weeks ended February 5th this year. Let's talk about home prices. The median home sold price was just under $347,000, and that's only up by 0.9% on a year-over-year basis. And median home sold prices fell in 18 of the 50 most populous US metros. The biggest decreases were in Oakland, California, down by 9.7% on a year-over-year basis. Austin, Texas, down by 6.5%. Sacramento, California, down by 5.8%. San Francisco, down by 4.9%, which is kind of interesting to see this because San Francisco was rated number 1 in the biggest decreases in home prices compared to 1 year ago for quite some time. I would say probably for the past month or so. But right now they're down about 4.9%, and Oakland, California down by 9.7%. That was followed by Phoenix, Arizona, down by 4.6%. In contrast, though, home sold prices increased the most in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, an increase of 12.8%, and that was followed by West Palm Beach, Florida, a gain of 12.2%, Indianapolis, Indiana, up by 10.1%, Fort Lauderdale up by 9.8%, and Miami, Florida increasing by 8.4% in the median sold price compared to 12 months ago. In regards to home prices, have a look at this. This is home prices going back to 2020, according to Redfin. Again, home sold prices increased by about 1% compared to 12 months ago at 347,000. Look at this though, for every single week this year, we saw gains of only 1%. And also we saw that back in 2022 until we hit right there, more or less November last year. So home sold prices haven't really moved very much ever since November last year, which again, that's really surprising me because I was guessing that we're going to be seeing negative price growth compared to 12 months ago back in January and especially in February. But so far, we're not seeing that just yet. A gain of only 1% compared to 12 months ago. What we have been seeing though is that home sold prices have decreased approximately by 11% compared to May and June of last year. At $347,000 right now, the all-time record highs was set more or less in May and June last year at $389,000. Now it's only $347,000. Also look at this, because at the same time frame back in 2022, 1 year ago, home sold prices increased by 15%. Now they only increased by 1%. One more thing I do want to mention regarding home prices in the US is that a common question I get is, Jason, are we going to be seeing home prices reach to, or go down to 2019 or 2020 levels anytime soon? And in general, the answer is no. But have a look at this. Again, the median sold price in the US is $347,000. Going back to the same time frame in 2020, home prices were at $263,000. This means that home prices, the median sold price, has increased approximately 32% ever since 2020. In other words, we have a long ways to go if we want to see home prices reach 2020's levels. Okay, going back to Redfin's report here, they also talk about asking prices of newly listed houses that increased by 1.7% year over year. And also the monthly mortgage payment required on the median asking price home was $2,376 per month at the current 6.12% rate. And by the way, this 6.12% mortgage rate is based on rates from Freddie Mac, which was posted last week. So again, rates right now are about 6.5% and not 6.12%. But assuming the scenario right here with rates at 6.12%, that's down $131 per month from October's peak. In contrast though, monthly mortgage payments are still up by 25%, or an increase of $477 per month to buy an average price home today versus 12 months ago. Of course, what this means is that even though rates have been coming down ever since the peak of 7.4% back in October last year, the differences in rates right now compared to 12 months ago is kind of night and day. Actually, I didn't share that with you guys, did I? Because 1 year ago, rates were at 4.05%. Therefore, rates have increased by about 2.5 percentage points compared to the same time frame in 2022. I also want to give you guys an update regarding pending home sales, new listings, as well as housing inventory. So pending home sales were down 19.5% year over year, the smallest decline since September. So have a look at this. Pending home sales are down 19.5% compared to the same time frame in 2022. But this is actually the lowest decrease on a year-over-year basis going back to the 4 weeks ended September 18th of 2022. Look at this, 19.5% decrease. The week before that, it was 22.4%, and then it was 25.7%. And also to start the year is a decrease of almost 30%. So this 19.5% decrease is actually the smallest decrease since right there, September 18th last year. So of course, what this means is that we're seeing fewer contracts being signed between buyers and sellers today versus in 2022, which of course makes sense given the fact that rates 1 year ago were around 4%, now they're at 6.5%. But the gap between this year and 2022 has actually been narrowing as of late. And going back to Redfin's report here, it says among the 50 most populous US metros, pending home sales fell the most in Las Vegas, down by about 58.7% on a year-over-year basis. Nashville down about 51%, Phoenix down by 50%, San Jose, California down by about 50%, Austin, Texas down by 48.9%. So out of these 50 most populous US metros, there's only 2 metros that saw an increase of pendings compared to 12 months ago. That was Cincinnati, an increase of 31.5%, and Chicago, Illinois, an increase of 31.4%. Therefore, of course, what this means is that 48 of the 50 most populous metros recorded decreases in pending home sales compared to 12 months ago. In regards to new listings, have a look at this, because new listings in the US decreased by 16.5% year over year, but that's the smallest decline since September last year. So again, pending home sales, the smallest decline since September 2022, as well as new listings as well. Also have a look at this. Here's new listings in 2023 versus 2022. The decrease on a year-over-year basis, down by 16.5%, is actually the smallest year-over-year decrease going back to the 4 weeks ended August 29th last year, when at that time, new listings decreased by 15.2%. And here's exactly what I mean by that, because at 16.5%, last week it was 17.1%, 18.8% the week before that, and to start the year, we were down by 22.7%. Also in 2022, compared to 2021, we saw decreases in the range of about, 23%, all the way to about 20% right here. And then it decreased to about 15% by the time we hit more or less September last year. Additionally, have a look at this, because new listings fell compared to 12 months ago in all 50 of the most populous US metros. The decrease the most in Oakland, California, a decrease of 40.5%, in Sacramento, down by about 39%. San Jose, California, down by 38.1%. San Diego, down by 38%, as well as Las Vegas as well. New listings also fell by less than 1% in Nashville, Tennessee, Dallas, Texas, as well as Austin, Texas. In regards to active listings, which of course is housing inventory, that rose by 22.6% from 2022. So levels we have right now are above 2022. But more or less on par with what we saw back in 2021. However, at 698,000 houses for sale right now, compared to, what was it, 2022, about 569,000, and now it's at 698,000. This is still well below 2020's levels, when we had approximately 998,000 houses for sale. So what strikes me regarding this is that even though we have far fewer houses for sale right now compared to 2020 at this time, which was obviously pre-COVID levels, we had more or less 1 million houses for sale in 2020 at this time. Now we only have about 698,000. Even though we have far fewer houses for sale, what's this by my quick math, down by about 30% compared to 2020, our housing market is still slowing down. And on top of that, home sold prices are still down by about 11%, even though we have far fewer houses for sale compared to 2020. Additionally, the month supply has more or less doubled over the past 12 months. Look at this. The month supply, which of course is a measure between the balance between supply and demand in the US, was at 4.1 months. This means at the current sales pace, all houses for sale would be sold in 4.1 months, assuming no new listings were hit the market. So in other words, if new listings were stopped altogether, all houses would be sold in 4.1 months. That's up from 2.2 months from 1 year ago. So 1 year ago, the month supply was at 2.2 months. Now it's at 4.1 months. Here's a chart showing the month supply going back to 2020. Again, the month supply is at 4.1 months. This is an increase by 1.9 months on a year-over-year basis here. We started the year where the month supply was more or less skyrocketing straight up, but last week it actually decreased slightly to 4.1 months. Very close to 2020's levels, but well above 2021 and of course 2022. Interesting to see here that the month supply has been more or less increasing ever since May and June of last year, going from about 2 months supply all the way up to about 3 months supply, or actually just over 3 months supply by year end. Let's also talk about how fast or how slow houses are selling in the US right now, because the median days in the market right now is about 50 days. It's taking about 50 days to sell a house right now. And this is an increase by about 17 days compared to 12 months ago. So houses are taking approximately 17 days longer to sell compared to the same time frame in 2022. In regards to houses selling over the seller's listing price, that's actually becoming less frequent compared to last year, of course. So approximately 20% of houses that sold above the seller's final list price. This, of course, means that approximately 80% sold at or below the seller's final list price, which is obviously much different compared to 2022. Back in 2022, at this time, approximately 40% were selling over the seller's asking price. Now it's only 20%. Also, during the spring months of 2022, we reached more or less all-time record highs for home prices. That ratio there was well above 50%. And speaking of houses selling under the seller's final list price, here's the average sale price to final list price ratio. So on average, for the 4 weeks ended February 5th, on average, houses were selling for about 2% below the seller's final list price. Back at this time in 2022, houses on average were selling for the seller's asking price on average. So the ratio right now at about 97.7% is more or less on par with 2020's levels, but still well below 2021 and of course 2022. So for example, back in 2021, houses were selling for about 1% below the seller's final list price. And with that said, please comment below with your biggest takeaways from today's video. Also, if you guys got any value in this video whatsoever, then please hit the like button. I really appreciate that. Of course, I appreciate you. Hope you guys have an awesome day. Look forward to seeing you on the next video.